Welcome back. The U.S. Secretary of State is in Qatar working to resolve a diplomatic crisis. Rex Tillerson and Qatar's Emir signed an agreement of cooperation that calls for Qatar to strengthen its fight against terrorism. Tillerson heads next to Saudi Arabia, where he'll meet with leaders of 4 Gulf states which have cut ties with Qatar. They accuse the country of funding terror. Tillerson says he hopes to find options to move forward. Well, CNN has gained exclusive access to 2 documents that speak to the roots of the crisis in Qatar. Over the past few years, the leaders of several Gulf states signed 2 agreements but kept the details secret. Our Jim Scuitto joins us now from Washington. These documents, Jim, that you've uncovered, never before seen, signed by the regional leaders, including the King of Saudi Arabia. Just explain what you've managed to get your hands on.
It's really, Lynda, a remarkable view inside these relationships, a handwritten agreement between the leaders of these very powerful countries, the Emir of Qatar, the King of Saudi Arabia, the Emir of Kuwait in 2013, and then the later agreement in 2014 adding the royals from UAE, from Abu Dhabi and Bahrain. It also shows the extreme sensitivity that these issues and disagreements among these nations, that they've been there for a number of years. This goes back 3 and 4 years, where they were talking about support for opposition groups within Gulf nations, support for opposition groups in nations outside this circle, in Egypt, for instance, in Yemen. And while the language is diplomatic, you can read behind the language and see really veiled accusations, or fairly thinly veiled accusations. Many of them, it appears, directed at Qatar, although the agreement, to be clear, is among all these states, but extending even as well to Al Jazeera, the broadcaster, of course, based in Qatar, backed by the Qatari government, being described, although not named, as antagonistic media. So it makes very clear that the events of the last couple of months, these severe divisions that have broken out into the public, that the roots of them have been there for some time, and that there were efforts at the highest level to find some sort of solution to these problems, and yet clearly, with the divisions we're seeing today, they weren't able to come to those agreements. Yeah,
quite telling information in those documents. We just saw those pictures of the U.S. Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, in Qatar. He is the former ExxonMobil CEO. He has relationships in the region. He's just spoken saying there's no timetable for any sort of agreement. How can he help? And are all sides likely to listen?
Well, it's interesting. One way, frankly, is because, remember, President Trump himself inserted himself into these divisions via Twitter last month, taking a side very publicly after his trip to Saudi Arabia, and his tweets accusing Qatar of terrorist support right out there in tweets. And we know that the president has often done this in his tweets, taken very strong positions that are out of line with the official position of the U.S. government. So here you have Rex Tillerson, the president's Secretary of State, who I imagine is delivering a more balanced view, and you can see that by sitting down with the Qatari Emir. This memorandum of understanding that they put out today, where Tillerson and Qatar commit Qatar to making progress on fighting terrorism, etc. So you see the Secretary of State here trying to play the middleman, the diplomat, to bring these parties together. And the mountain he has to climb with those Gulf states, in light of the divisions we're seeing boiling over here as these documents are released to the public, but also with his own government, really, because he has to deliver a very different message than President Trump himself delivered by Twitter, in effect taking sides in this division.
Yeah, it's incredible to watch this play out. Great work by you getting your hands on those documents. Jim Scuitto, thanks so much.
Thank you, Lynda.